Greetings once again, YouTubers and followers of my channel, This Old Sword Blade Reviews. This is This Old Sword with you. And we have another Tops knife on the table today and another fixed blade. Seems like I'm getting fixated on fixed blades. Okay, well, this is something interesting, a little different from other Tops knives, and I'll try to show you why. So this is the I.C.E. dagger. Let's unsheath it. And it is called I.C.E. not because it's a weapon used by the Night King on Game of Thrones or anything like that. The acronym or initials I.C.E. stand for in case of emergency. And this was designed primarily for military and law enforcement use by Andy Tran. Now, I don't know a lot about Andy Tran, but he's designed other knives for Tops. And a quick description from the Tops web page is that as I told you, I.C.E. is the acronym for in case of emergency. It serves as a backup blade in case a law enforcement or military firearm is inoperable or inaccessible. The most distinguishing feature is the compound grind on the blade, and I'll get into that a little later, allowing it to have a ferociously strong tip and an edge that slices through flesh and material effortlessly. The handle symmetry allows you to grasp the blade securely with either hand, and it is weight relieved or skeletonized underneath these grips so that it can be cord wrapped, and it also lightens the weight. The hybrid sheath combines the strength of a one-piece taco style sheath with the mounting flexibility of a two-piece pancake style sheath. And they give a disclaimer that they're not advocating any particular use and you should be over 18 years old and so forth. I know I have a mature audience here, so you're all over 18, right? Okay, some specs on this pretty lightweight, cool, interesting dagger style knife. I'm going to give you some close-ups in a little bit. The overall length is 7.75 inches. The blade length is 3 inches. Cutting edge, 2.88 inches because of that sharpening choil. The blade steel is 1095 tool steel, hardened to a Rockwell of between 56 and 58. And departing from most of the Tops blades, it is not coated with the black traction coating or with an acid rain wash. It is coated with black Cerakote, which gives it a smoother finish. Handles are black G10. The weight is 4.5 ounces. Weight with the sheath is 6.5 ounces. And we're going to show you that black Kydex sheath again in a moment. And it's using what they call their beta loop for belt and equipment attachment. Okay. So we got all that out of the way. Let's take a closer look. Some really nice red liners. Oh yes, by the way, the blade thickness is 0.13. So that's very comparable to the Lioness that I reviewed recently. We'll bring the Lioness back out in a moment to compare, along with at least one other blade. So we've got a sharp double edge, and although it's double edge and really have less than half a width of the blade ground, it is a wide blade. It's a short blade. Can be held in either the point up or the point down position. I see the ring mainly as a method, if this is in a neck knife position or on the belt, of getting a hold of it quickly and pulling it out of the sheath. And then you reposition your hand. Problem I have with non-karambit ring knives is that when I put my finger through the ring, it automatically angles the blade very close to the forearm, making it difficult to use the point in that direction. You can flex the wrist to get the point forward, but because that ring is dead center on the axis of the handle, you have that issue. Have that issue too with the I.C.E. by Benchmade and maybe one or two other knives. I go back with use of a knife like this to the Chinese martial arts, and they do have ring daggers where it's got a ring just like that and a longer blade, and we used them in a practice form. We'd never had any sharpened versions of it. So that's one issue. I feel that it holds very well in a conventional grip without using the finger. Number of ways you can use a finger through a ring. On a karambit, we would never put it through past that knuckle. We would put it through just about there. But again, what happens is it becomes a cross palm position. Now, you could hold it this way, and you could hold it this way in this position. Having your finger captured in that ring just makes it a little bit awkward in shifting position. That's all. Karambit, it's a whole different animal because you have your finger in the ring. The ring is generally offset, so it still allows for a perpendicular grip. I talk about that a lot, but it's to me, at least, it's a real thing. You may be able to manage this in a different way. That's fine. But let's get back to the blade again. Not a lot of billboarding, which is kind of cool. You notice I.C.E. is very small there on the spine, and so is Tops USA. It's understated for a Tops knife where you usually see a lot of billboarding. Now let's talk about the so-called reinforced tip. That double grind looks like it should be definitely reinforced. But if you examine the edge carefully, that grind is the same angle all the way through. And there's your tip. It's pretty fine and pretty pointy. There have been torture tests of this online on YouTube where they're punching it through an ammo can, and they're punching it through oil drums or what have you into wood and prying. Because it's a broad tip, it's going to survive that kind of abuse a little better, and because it's 1095, it's a tough steel. But I don't feel that platform there gives you a whole lot of reinforcement. Maybe it does. Where tips typically break is right up around that area ahead of that. So, I could be wrong. There could be some reinforcement gained by that unusual grind. But looking at the grind itself, the bevel of the edge, it appears to be uniform all the way through. All right, so I'm going to hop off my soapbox on that. It's a cool looking knife, and it's going to be a useful knife for the right people under the right conditions. You have a faceted ring, which supposedly gives some ability to strike with it. It does narrow down points on the radius of the circle, which is fine. It's a big enough ring so that somebody that wanted to flip it back and forth on their finger for whatever reason could do that. But again, I see it as a purchase point, a way to quickly get your finger through that hole and yank it out of the sheath. Okay, that's my take on it. Here are the screws which can be removed and provide you with a skeletonized steel handle underneath, which I haven't looked at yet. We've got a chevron style cutouts in the G10 providing some traction. We've got some very good and useful and aggressive jimping that goes through the G10 into the steel of the handle. Very nice. The rest of the circumference, the perimeter of the handle is smooth. And let's look at that sheath again. So here's the Kydex sheath. Plenty of thickness to the stock of that Kydex. And as they were saying, it's partly taco style because it folds from the very end, and partly pancake. It's really a short sheath, minimalist sheath. I find the retention to be very good, and no rattle that I can detect. Rattle's only going to be an issue if you are law enforcement or tactical and you're running or moving and you don't want sounds coming out of your equipment to tip anybody off that you're nearby. I find it, excuse me, hard to thumb off, and I'd be a little careful thumbing it off because you have both edges of the blade sharp. The loops have one-way snaps, which is kind of nice. So you got to rock that snap on from that end, and when the belt is in there or other equipment, mollies or what have you, it's not going to unsnap from inside, which is a good safety feature. It can be hung upside down on paracord around the neck or on a chain. If you hang anything around your neck, make sure that there is a safety breakaway that is not going to allow somebody to pull that tight around your neck and do bad things to you. A lot of the paracord neck knives do have like a few links of that ball chain in there to act as a safety and breakaway. But a good sheath, and you could put a tech lock on there if you wanted to. You could take one of these straps off and use one of the straps to carry it in kind of an appendix carry. Your belt goes through here. There's space here, so basically this can be worn inside the pants with the belt going through on the outside and a good amount of that sheath hidden underneath your waistband. All right, so let's look at it in a quick comparison next to the Lioness that I reviewed recently. Have the same size overall. Lioness, if you measure it there, has a longer blade. If you measure it to that part, you have a much longer blade, but with your finger up in there, really the useful part of the blade is from there to the tip. If we compare it to the Street Beat by Spyderco, one of my favorite blades, we have overall length of the Street Beat as actually a little shorter, and we have a blade that is longer by close to an inch. It's a 3.5 inch blade. That's a 3 inch, but less of a cutting edge. Also a light knife. This has got slightly more weight. This is definitely lighter. You got a lot of the resin handle happening there. I keep getting back to the Street Beat and Street Bowie and so forth, but this is highly specialized. It's a neat blade. Again, the top's ice in case of emergency. It was an unusual knife. I just got a hold of it, and I figured I'd add it to the fixed blade collection. I sort of like what Tops does with their small knives. This in particular, I think, is where they should be going with a lot of their concealable self-protection blades, in that it's using a .13 steel, still plenty of thickness, but that 1/4 inch stuff that's used on a lot of knives this size by Tops, it's just way over the top. It's overkill. So that's what we got for you today. I'm at 1,000 subscribers. I'll keep mentioning this in the videos. I'm a good deal over now, at least at this point today, by 15 or so. I will be announcing very soon my giveaway for my 1,000 subscriber mark, and I'll let you know more about that very soon. In the meantime, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. This Old Sword, signing out.